Welcome to The Fight on Matrix Midwest with Randy Carricker and company.
Hi kids, welcome to the program. Great to have you with us. That is Andrew. I'm Randy. Hope you had a good weekend.
Oh, it was busy, but it was good. How was yours?
Mine was good too. And coming up, you might be surprised too. Doug Armstrong expects to lead the Blues in the future. Ivan Herrera talked about the catching help he got as a Cardinal minor leaguer. And our favorite coach and manager beefs with officials in the list. But let's get things started with our quick hits. And Andrew, let's start with college basketball. It was a rugged weekend for Mizzou and SLU, both of whom put some pressure on themselves to win games in their conference tournaments. Mizzou was down 15 in the first half, then clawed their way back to send their game with Arkansas to overtime, but they lost 88-84. Mizzou with 9 first-half turnovers, 6 that came during a 17-2 Arkansas run. Then the Tigers turned it over just twice in the second half to get back in the game before 2 bad turnovers did them in overtime. SLU was barely in their game at George Mason. Tie game at 23 with 9:11 left in the first half. Then Mason went on a 20-11 run to close out the first half and outscored the Billikens 43-23 in the second for an 86-57 rout. SLU has now gone 3-3 after starting off 24-1. And oh, by the way, Illinois won their finale 78-72 over Maryland. The Illini finished second in the Big Ten, and their first Big Ten tournament game will be in the quarterfinals. Illinois is a tournament team. I think Mizzou is a tournament team. I think SLU, I hope they don't lose their first game in the A-10 tournament, is a tournament team. I wonder, and I'm concerned about that committee, though, with a mid-major like SLU, if they've gone 3-3 down the stretch and then they lose their first tournament game.
Yeah, you have a right to be concerned there. I'm on the same page as you, though. Illinois, obviously a tournament team. I also tend to lean that Mizzou currently is a tournament team, even though they had a chance to leave absolutely no doubt to the selection committee to hear their name called on Selection Sunday if they had beaten Arkansas. But I still look at them as a team that will end up in March. And then SLU, you know, I'm actually more on the side of I think they're the only mid-major that will come out with 2. They've been a top 25 team for majority of the year. They've been top 25 in the net as well. So if they do lose, especially let's say VCU comes out on top, they're a team that's currently a last 4 in. That automatically puts SLU in the tournament.
I just don't trust that committee. Let's talk some hockey. After the Blues traded Braden Shen and Justin Falk on Friday, Blues Poho and general manager Doug Armstrong made some interesting comments when Andy Strickland asked him about the future leadership of the team.
Obviously, Robert Thomas is going to take a massive role in that. Colton Pranko wears a letter right now. It's going to open up space for Buchnevich and Kyrou and some of these guys that are no longer middle-aged. Now they're older on this team, and they're going to get an opportunity. And Jake Neighbors and Holloway and Broberg, it's just an open. The dynamic has changed, and these guys can learn, grow, and work into it. And we're excited about that. It's leadership by committee right now, and I think that's how teams are structured when they're in the spot we are.
So 2 guys who were mentioned in trade rumors last week, one of whom was actually traded and then invoked his no-trade clause, are the first 2 guys mentioned when the subject of leading the team comes up. Army has always liked Robert Thomas. When he signed him to the contract, he said he's going to be our captain someday. Andrew, I will not be surprised if on opening night next year, Robert Thomas is the Blues captain.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either. And don't get me wrong, I like to see this play out. The way that Army kind of laid it out was if you want to give the guys with tenure the first opportunity to step up and be a leader, then do that. But I also think letting this kind of organically happen, letting the guys kind of pinpoint who they think performs, handles the pressure, communicates the best, and then say, yeah, that's our captain. Let him lead by example in this case. I'm not saying it's going to be Jake Neighbors or somebody even younger. I'm not saying it couldn't be Robert Thomas for the future. But I think you just got to let kind of the cards fall where they may.
One thing hockey players have told me over and over again is just because a guy has a letter doesn't mean he's a leader. Everybody in the room knows who the leaders are, but it doesn't come from a letter. And a lot of times, a letter is just a marketing ploy. For example, when the Blues had Brett Hull as their C, he wasn't the leader of that team, but he was wearing the C, and everybody in the room knew who the leaders of that team were.
Well, and the other thing you want out of your captain is someone to drop the gloves 3 seconds into the game if somebody's bad-mouthing your team. Is that guy Robert Thomas? Like, Robert Thomas isn't the fighter on this team.
Was that guy Wayne Gretzky?
It was not Wayne Gretzky either.
He was a pretty good captain. McKinnon isn't doing that. McDavid isn't doing it. I don't think you need that.
But I want that grit
from a letter.
I'm going for somebody with grit. Like, that's what Braden Shen offered this team.
That can be a leader, but he doesn't have to wear a C. And Kelly Chase was a great leader and rarely had a letter for the Blues. In a column over the weekend at STLtoday.com, Lynn Worthy profiled Ivan Herrera, who was signed by the Cardinals in 2016 and is now the senior member player of the organization. Herrera said, "I learned how to catch in 2024, working out with Cardinal bullpen catcher Jamie Pogue." He said, "I didn't have much help in the minor leagues, which is not an excuse, but I continue to get better. I'm trying not to look at the past anymore. It's already gone. My focus has just been on this year and proving that I can be a catcher. That's my entire goal this year." Again, a Cardinal catching prospect said he didn't learn how to catch for the first 8 years of his professional career. That is malpractice on the part of the organization, and I think it all goes back to the way John Mozeliak built the minor league system. Not enough teachers.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. That oversight is insane. And to actually hear that said out loud, I mean, we knew that there were flaws, but to actually hear that out of Ivan Herrera's mouth here is just absolutely insane. And look, that's just more of a reason to get excited about this new regime. And at the same time, it's also a reason to get more excited that Yadier Molina is there working with these guys. But I wonder how much Yadi Ivan Herrera time there will be or has been already. We know Yadi wants to, well, not really wants to, maybe he does. The Cardinals want him to spend more time in the minors. Ivan Herrera is not going to spend that much time, with the minor league catchers. And so does he actually get the teaching that he needs even at this stage in his career?
Well, fortunately, the Cardinals have Ethan Goforth, another catching coordinator. I think they're going to be better. And obviously, with Jimmy Crooks being assigned to the minor leagues, the Cardinals are going to catch Herrera because it's going to be Pages, Herrera, and Pozo on the major league team. So Ivan is going to get his opportunity to show them that he can be a good catcher. Football, the NFL league year starts later this week, and the legal tampering period starts later today. By this time tomorrow, players like defensive ends Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Phillips, tackles Rasheed Walker and Braden Smith, wide receivers Alec Pierce and Romeo Doubs, plus quarterback Malik Willis and center Tyler Linderbaum could have new homes with as many agreements as are announced right when the legal tampering period starts. You think there's an illegal tampering period?
That's the running joke around the league, right? And what's funny about it is if you call something legal tampering, that's admitting that there has to be illegal tampering. You would not use that terminology otherwise. And it's funny, right? Because we're not naive. We don't just all of a sudden think that a deal comes together at 12:01 and at 12:04 all the incentives are figured out, the overall money is figured out, and all of this, and 4 of the top 8 of the biggest free agents are already gone. We're not crazy.
Yeah. And this is not a great free agent year, and trades have really taken center stage here. But I'll be interested to see how the receivers do, if people overpay for those 2 tackles. And a guy like Malik Willis, who hasn't played an awful lot, but does have the pedigree of having now played for Matt LaFleur, does he become QB1 for somebody?
I think so. I've been hearing a lot of good things about Malik Willis. And, this is just outside looking in. But as you kind of just look across the league, you know that there aren't 32 great quarterbacks that you can just pick from at any given time. So, yeah, Malik Willis could find a job.
And you were talking about Tyler Linderbaum before the Bears got a new center, about Linderbaum getting $25 million. And I was saying, no. He might. Both the Commanders and the Giants are interested. The Ravens would like to keep him. He's going to test the market. He might go to $25 million. Last year, the highest paid center in the league was Creed Humphrey of Kansas City at 18. They might increase the highest paid center salary by 25% this year.
Insane.
It's amazing. Hey, in the closing seconds of UConn's loss at Marquette on Saturday, Huskies coach Dan Hurley appeared to bump an official. Hurley was immediately ejected and later that night fined $25,000 by the Big East. Does this rise to the level, and we'll see if we can see Hurley bumping the official, of a 1-game suspension? It looks like it does to me. If you look closely here, and we're going to get a stop right there. To me, there's no doubt that there's contact there. And I think he's got to be suspended. I think this is way beyond the $25,000 fine for a guy who's making $9 or $10 million.
I think anytime you make contact with an official that you should receive a 1-game suspension, especially when you hunt down the official. And that's what Hurley did here. I know he was in the general vicinity, but he made sure that he got right in the official's face right in front of him. And when you make contact like that, that's a problem. And we know Dan Hurley's a hothead. We know that he could go on a rant, and then all of a sudden he'll go into the press conference room and he'll kind of look like the coolest guy in the room, like he's just very calm. But when he's out there on the court, he can get in your face. So yeah, you should punish those that kind of take everything to that extreme.
And if you're the Big East and you want to quell any problems with any other coaches, Hurley's the big man on campus. You suspend him for a conference tournament game, nobody else is going to bump it. Not that anybody would. Hurley is a one of one in terms of bumping officials, but nobody else would even think about it if he got suspended for a game.
Well, and Iowa had Fran McCaffrey for the longest time, and he was known for being a hothead, but I don't remember Fran McCaffrey ever going straight toward a guy and making, contact. He's stared down a lot of people. He's yelled at a lot of officials, but he hasn't been going to that extreme.
Yeah, this was unconscionable on the part of Hurley, and a $25,000 fine is way too little. Hey, later in the show, we're going to participate in some risky business. We are going to build a parlay, and we hope you will join us. I've got a really good one today. You got a good bet?
I do, and I think I'm going to tail the same line of thinking.
Okay. But up next, we've got our weekend highlights right here in The Fight. Time now for our takes on the weekend in the sports world, and we'll start with City SC. They played pretty even with Seattle at Energizer Park, but the Sounders scored in the 47th minute and came away with a 1-0 clean sheet on Saturday. St. Louis City SC is still winless, but you see elements in their game where you say, okay, they've got a chance. At this time last year, Andrew, I was saying they don't have a chance. At least I see things here where I believe they have a chance.
I think you're right. There are some flaws.
No doubt.
I think offensively, I still didn't see enough. When we spoke to Jen Cease last week, I wanted someone that could be a true attacker for this group. And Marcel Hartle, he's really good. And I see a lot of that in him. But I want somebody on this group that wants the soccer ball every single time it makes its way into the box. I saw so many crosses, a few corner kicks that the ball was right there inside the 6, but it didn't seem like anybody was wanting the soccer ball. It was, I'll stick my leg out and just see what happens.
And you wonder, and you still play, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit,
but
indoor.
You want kind of like the indoor game or when you're playing pickup, you want somebody to be selfish. You want somebody to take the shot all the time, right? And these guys just aren't selfish enough. We all have that person on our team that always wants to shoot. There's nothing wrong with that.
You make it.
Yeah, but no, I don't, but I shoot. And that's the thing. They need somebody just to take the shot.
Yeah, and once they find that person, and there's people that can be that on this team. It's not like they have to go in search of this guy.
Right.
You could get that out of Toysher. You could get that out of Hartle. You could get that out of Sangbin. There are players on this team that can be that person. But when you talk about unselfish soccer, and you get that even in your own 18, Valum had a chance to clear that soccer ball. This easily could have been a draw. And he had a chance to clear that soccer ball, but instead plays it into his own box. He's not on the same page with his temmate. Now the ball's stolen away, and you put yourself at a disadvantage. That's Pee Wee 101. Just clear the soccer ball.
Yeah, that and picking daisies. Hockey, we talked about the Blues trades, but the Blues wrapped up their West Coast trip with a couple of wins. A 4-0 shutout of a good Anaheim team last night. Jonathan Drouin with his first goal as a member of the Blues. It was a beauty. Joel, this is the Friday night game where the Blues won in overtime against San Jose. Robert Thomas had a couple of goals there. That was fantastic. And then that dramatic overtime win preceded the Blues' fourth in a row last night. Drouin with a goal. Kyrou had great chances and had a goal. I don't know why it is that the Blues play better after certain events, but they do, and here they are winning 4 in a row. And you mentioned they've won 5 out of 6?
5 out of 6. Since the break, they've won 5 out of 6. The only loss coming to the Devils because they had the 5-1 win against the Kraken. And this team is hilarious. to that point. They come out of breaks, and they're just all of a sudden on fire. And, Blues fans, for the longest time, were saying, just be good enough to where it doesn't seem like you're tanking, but still be in position to get Gavin McKenna at year's end.
Yeah.
Now, the Blues are probably closer to being a team that makes the playoffs than a team that gets Gavin McKenna. No, just in that sense. Like, are you the team that is closer to McKenna right now? Or are you a team that's closer to the playoffs? I think they're leaning more toward the playoffs than they are McKenna right now.
Get the kids up here. Get the overwhelmed kids up here. All right, Arch Madness this weekend over at Enterprise Center. Illinois, Chicago, and Northern Iowa advanced to yesterday's Missouri Valley Conference Championship. And yesterday, Northern Iowa trounced UIC 84-69 to earn the Valley's automatic bid. Belmont is 63rd in the net rankings. They're the number 1 team in the Valley. They won the regular season title. So it's unlikely, I would think, Andrew, that the Valley is a 2-bid league. I would think that Northern Iowa is the team, and Belmont gets left out.
Yeah, you're right on point with that. And I think that's pretty obvious after knowing what happened to Schertz's Indiana State team a while back. And Belmont is a good team. They're just not a great team. And if you want to be a mid-major that gets an at-large bid, you have to be in the position where SLU is right now and not where Belmont is. UNI, though, good on them for making this run. They were the preseason, they were the second best in the preseason rankings to go the distance in the MVC. And they showed late in the year that they could be that team. It's funny how Illinois State was the preseason number 1. They weren't featured in that game.
Right.
Belmont ends up being the regular season champs. They weren't featured in that game. Northern Iowa showing dominance late. Pretty impressive.
Meanwhile, Miami of Ohio completed a 31-0 regular season with a 110-108 overtime win over Ohio on Friday night. Next up for the Red Hawks, the MAC tournament. But what if they lose a game? If they don't win the MAC tournament, do the Red Hawks still make the NCAA tournament? It'd be criminal if they didn't. They've done everything that they can do, and obviously if they win the automatic bid, they're in. But if they lose, even in the conference finals, I fear for their spot in the NCAA tournament.
I think your fear is justified because when you look at the net rankings for this team, they're behind Akron, who is in the MAC. Akron's the best team in the MAC according to the net rankings. So if Miami of Ohio doesn't win, I don't see them being the team that gets an at-large bid. I think I agree. And in the that's why the regular season should matter more than just the conference tournament because, we get people that want the lowest of the low SEC teams in there. And Miami of Ohio, just because they played well in the regular season, they're like, oh, well, they didn't play in a good conference. We played a great conference. And it's like, well, that doesn't. Now what are we talking about? Is it you just have a good tournament or you just have a good regular season? You can't take that away from Miami of Ohio, but it's just the unfortunate land that they sit in.
You just can't trust that committee if you're a mid-major. Now, if you're Auburn, if you're one of the Power Five and you're Auburn, you feel like, okay, I got a shot. And what are they, 16 and 14 overall?
16 and 14.
And if
7 and 11 in conference play.
But if you're a mid-major, if you're SLU, if you're Belmont, if you're Miami of Ohio, you can't take anything for granted. You can go 31-0 in the regular season, lose a tournament game, and get knocked out. And as you said, that happened to Josh Schertz at Indiana State 2 years ago. They wound up going to the finals of the NIT. It's just preposterous what the NCAA tournament committee does and what the NCAA in general does.
Especially with how big that field is.
Yeah.
That's why more mid-majors should be in that field. And when you have a season like Miami of Ohio, we're not asking for the 22-7s from a mid-major to outseed an SEC team.
And here's one other question about the NCAA tournament, which is huge. But could Auburn, doesn't matter what their record is, can Auburn ever be Cinderella? No, they're too big, they're too good, they're too powerful. Miami of Ohio, St. Louis University, VCU, Northern Iowa, Belmont, all capable. Any mid-major is capable of being a Cinderella. It's another thing that bothers me about the NCAA tournament. They lean in on Cinderellas like the Northern Iowas and the Norfolk States of the world. But then when it comes time to select the teams, they don't really want those teams to even have a chance by putting them in the tournament.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen a bracket recently that's had an SEC team past 10. past
No,
10.
you don't see it.
And that's what we're talking about here with Cinderellas. You get the North Dakota States of the world that will be a 12 or a 13. You don't see an Auburn as a 12 or a 13 ever in the tournament.
They can't be. It was great to have the Cardinals here on Matrix Midwest over the weekend. They got more good pitching on Saturday. Kyle Leahy turned in 4 no-hit innings against the Mets, struck out 5, and Joshua Baez hit his second home run. Then yesterday, Andre Palante continued an excellent spring with 4 innings of 1-run ball, a solo homer in a 2-2 tie with the Mets. Palante, he allowed a solo homer. Palante has a 3.00 ERA in 9 innings of work over 3 starts. And man, the starting pitching has just been great. They have not had a poor starting pitching performance yet.
Isn't that funny, too? When you kind of want somebody to have a poor appearance so that it makes your life a little bit easier. No, the Cardinals are making it difficult on their staff and saying, okay, tell me I don't belong here. And they are proving themselves all the time in spring. I love that. I love that Josh Baez is proving that he could belong in the outfield as a big leaguer. Now, it doesn't seem like the Cardinals want to rush him in that regard, and they'll let him go at his own pace. They just don't want him to be overwhelmed like we've seen in the past with some younger power-hitting prospects. But just in general, I thought Derek Gould had a great piece about Josh Baez in the sense of how he wants to be there. And the Cardinals will keep him there until it seems like, hey, it's a bad idea to keep you here.
I'm not an advocate of the 6-man rotation, but the Cardinals do in late April, early May have a stretch of 17 consecutive games. I might think about a 6-man rotation then. If I'm not using a 6-man rotation, maybe I go with a Leahy Palante piggyback, because Liberatore's in my rotation, McGreevy's in my rotation, May is in my rotation, and Fitz is in my rotation. I think Richard Fitz, he does pitch today. So I would think about maybe, if I don't have a 6-man, go with Palante and Leahy as a package deal.
Well, and the good thing for the Cardinals, too, is it worked last year with Steven Matz. So they have a blueprint to what can be beneficial with having a 6-man rotation. And I'm with you. I think piggybacking is a great idea, because why try to limit a starter's capability, a Leahy capability, if you have the opportunity to feed him those innings?
And you can't count on him for 7 innings anyway. More Cardinal baseball today here on Matrix Midwest. They play the Orioles at noon. Looking forward to that. Chip and Brad will have the call right here at noon on Matrix Midwest. And in golf over the weekend at the Bay Hill Invitational in Orlando, Akshay Bhatia came from 5 shots behind to force a playoff and defeat Daniel Berger for his 3rd tour win, and certainly his biggest. He's a young guy that's been on tour for a long time, 8 years on tour, and he's only 25 years old. And this might be a guy, because he's always threatened, right? He's a skinny left-hander. He's always threatened, and maybe he is getting over the hump here.
He's a fan favorite, too. He's got a great personality. And he had a bad 3rd round. He was very up and down. He started off hot, and then the bogeys started to follow, and then all of a sudden, I think he was 4 shots back, right, going into the final day. And I thought Berger would just hang on. He had a great lead, and Berger played incredibly well, too, in this. But watching Bhatia at Pebble Beach cough up his lead, and watching him, what he did in this tournament, shows me everything about him as a player, that he can overcome the intangibles that are in front of him. I think Bhatia is a great golfer.
Those are our weekend highlights. Coming up in the list, in honor of Dan Hurley, our top coach or manager beefs with officials. Coming your way here in The Fight. All right, it's time for the list, and this is in honor of Dan Hurley bumping an official in the Huskies' loss at Marquette. We bring you the craziest coach, manager versus official umpire dust-ups ever. And my number 3, Andrew, is something that just happened last year in San Francisco, when Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo ejected the 4 umpires. All right, here we go. Leading 8-6 with 2 away in the 8th, the D-backs appeared to tag out the Giants' Christian Koss here, rounding second base on a Elio Ramos infield single. But Koss had run into the Arizona second baseman Jordan Lawler in the middle of the base path. Clear, right? Koss was allowed to remain at second base because of the obstruction call against Lawler, keeping the inning going and bringing the potential go-ahead run to the plate. Lovullo argues, and he got upset, and he got tossed. Now, the Giants are going to state their case, and now Torey is kind of mad. and he's going to get madder and madder, and the temperature is going to go up. It's kind of like a teapot that's going to explode here. This doesn't look like it's very serious. However, well, now this is little Dan Hurley-esque. He's going to get a little bit more upset here. He's going to say, this is ridiculous. No, this is terrible. Okay, boom, you're gone. Okay, so what are you going to do, Tori? You're gone. You're gone. Out of here. He threw out umpires Nick Marley, Mark Ripperberger, Edwin Jimenez, and Nick Lentz.
Adios.
Oh, Lovello throwing out all the umpires. I love that.
That is an iconic one because it didn't, cause a mess, right? There's a lot of managers or coaches that would cause a mess in that moment, but no, he just decided to create his own type of ejection in that manner. It's very unique to him. I haven't seen any other manager before throw out all 4 umpires. All right, Randy, my number 3. And this is only my number 3, although it's one of my favorites because the interaction that followed was so priceless. So let me set the stage. Aaron Boone is known for being a hothead, but this time it wasn't his fault. 5 pitches into a game, he got warned by the home plate ump that another word would get him tossed. So he stayed silent. Or did he?
First base umpire, you saw making that call.
You're not yelling at me. I did what I was supposed to do and check. I'm looking for him to get hit by the pitch. You got anything else to say? You're gone. Okay?
Oh, okay, Hunter. Well, you know what? We're not going to need a John Boy breakdown of that one. We got a very clear.
Aaron,
well, there you go. And now Aaron's saying I didn't say anything. Aaron's saying, hold on a second, I didn't say a word.
I did not say any word.
So this is hilarious because he's so confused, and now he's fired up and mad because of how confused he is. And so despite his insistence that he didn't say a word, Hunter Wendelstedt claimed, I don't care who said it, you're gone, which is a pretty bad look all around. But I did love the little trot toward home plate there by Aaron Boone.
Poor Aaron Boone, and a lot of times he earns it, but he didn't earn it that time. That was pretty funny. All right, my number 2, Andrew, this is one of the all-timers. It's February 9th, 1989. College basketball, number 3 Mizzou at number 5 Oklahoma. The Tiger plane had to land mid-flight between Columbia and Norman because Coach Norm Stewart got sick and had to be hospitalized. And early on in the game, with Rich Daly coaching Mizzou, they took the lead, and OU coach Billy Tubbs and the Sooner fans none too happy here because Mizzou seems to be getting the advantage from the officials, including Edwardsville's own Ed Hightower, one of the all-time great officials in the history of college basketball. So he's going to go over and he's going to talk to Billy Tubbs and say, okay, calm down a little bit. Let's make sure that we've just got everything settled down. Hightower goes to the PA announcer and says, hey, have your people quit throwing stuff on the floor or you will get a technical foul. Okay, let's take a listen to what the PA...
Mike Treps, the public address announcer, just announced that any more debris thrown on the floor will be an automatic technical foul against Oklahoma. Ed Hightower went over, just that he's over now talking with Billy Tubbs. And Tubbs is saying, all right, he'll go up and say something to the crowd, too. So now we'll turn the pot up. Four games this year that a coach.
The referee's request that regardless of how terrible the officiating is,
the late great Billy Tubbs. Regardless of how terrible the officiating is, don't throw stuff on the floor.
That is the rally cry, right? Like, look at these fans. They are all about it. It's like a politician that hypes up a venue, right? You say the one line that gets everybody rah-rah. Like, that was his moment. That was amazing.
And Oklahoma went on to win that game. Now, again, Mizzou was number 3 at the time. Oklahoma was number 5. Oklahoma won the game and actually went on to have a really good run in the NCAA tournament, too.
Okay, my number 2. I don't think there's a moment more iconic in tantrum throwing than Bob Knight chucking a chair across the gym floor after getting teed up. If you need a refresher, here it is.
Fred Jasper's now chasing Bobby Knight back to his chair.
And
he's got him right there. There's the tee.
Technical against the bench and against Bob Knight. Steve Reed, an excellent free throw shooter, will have the honors shooting the technicals.
Look at here. Bobby Knight just threw his chair clear across the free throw lane.
Yeah, you know what's amazing about chairs nowadays, too? They have those rubber, stamps at the bottom where you couldn't throw a chair across the floor.
And they're padded. They're heavy.
Yep, and they're heavy. And that one was just a metal chair, metal legs that scooted across the floor. It's funny, too, because he apologized for his actions the next day and was given a 1-game suspension. Only a game for this. That's actually worth it, in my opinion. Although he got 2 years probation from the Big Ten, which I think is hilarious how they just looked at him under a microscope for 2 years. Bob Knight would occasionally joke, too, about that incident, saying, well, there was an old lady standing on the opposite sideline, and I threw her a chair so she could sit down.
Classic. That is one of the all-time classic tantrums by any coach. All right, here is my number 1. And this one is top of the line in any book, okay? We're going to start looking at Philip Wellman, who was a manager in the Braves system. He would eventually coach in the Cardinal system. And we just have to watch this thing unfold, because you talk about a guy getting hotter and hotter and hotter. He's the manager of the Mississippi Braves, and he's upset here with umpire Brent Rice's strike zone. The Braves were 34-20 when they took the field against Chattanooga on June 1st of 2007, and were trailing 2-0 in the bottom of the second when, unbeknownst to Wellman, an ejection would transform his life forever. This is the manager putting the dirt on home plate. Wellman was obviously tossed out before this, and he is making a point. Now, he said, interestingly, he said, I really wasn't that mad. I was just trying to get the most out of getting tossed out. So this was a tirade straight out of the Earl Weaver and Billy Martin handbook with some extra sizzle added. Let's go get a base here. Okay, you got to take some time, and let's throw the base to the outfield. He is not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. And Andrew, he is going to entertain the masses here. Oh, let's go get another base. Let's go get second base too. So he's going to walk over, get this one, throw it into the outfield. Okay, he's not done. Okay, here we go. This is where it really gets fun. Okay, doing the army crawl. Got the army crawl. Going to go get that rosin bag. You know what that rosin bag is? That rosin bag is a grenade. Okay, pull the pin, and boom! The grenade lands right at the feet of the umpire.
Hilarious.
Oh, Philip Wellman, a legendary tirade, and this is my number 1. Oh, and he throws out the umpire, too.
Yeah, there you go. A clear favorite all around.
No doubt
I'm
about
right
it.
there with you. The creativity behind going for a grenade via the army crawl, what's going through his head? That's what I want to know. I think nothing, right? I think it's just an old moment of playing video games way back in the day, and he's like, I just want to do this.
Well, it's just he's going to take the base.
And take him home.
Just take him with him.
And also, I don't think I noticed this until rewatching it here today.
Watch him here. Blows kiss. Okay, what?
Is that Richard Nixon?
Yeah.
I didn't notice that after he covered home plate, that he made home plate bigger. He drew it bigger. I never noticed that, because the only things I really paid attention to were him stealing the bases and going after the rosin bag.
Yeah, pretty funny.
That's awesome. Good for him. Okay, my number 1. Ever heard of Wally Backman?
Yeah, I hated him.
Yeah, he's actually a World Series winner with the '86 Mets. But I'd argue, Randy, he's most known for his fiery mic'd up moments managing the South Georgia Peanuts.
Stevie will go to left. Stevie will go to short, move Johnny to second.
So let me set this up real fast. He got tossed. And here's what's following. There go all the bats.
Oh, classic.
Pick that up, you dumb.
And any baseball coach out there will know it's impossible to get the lid off of the ball bucket.
Piece of shit.
Especially when you needed it to happen right there.
Catcher, get out of the way.
Then he just becomes a nice guy.
Get out of the way.
He just tells the catcher to move out of the way. Before this, he went absolutely crazy on the umps, but I thought this was the best thing to show you all, because he took every bat and chucked it out there. I don't know who picked it up. I don't think anybody
He told
really
his
watched.
players not to, right?
Yes, he told his players not to. So I'm assuming, though, that once he made it into the clubhouse, that his players probably did assist in the cleanup. But they weren't very happy either. And no one got in Wally's way that day.
Amazing. So, oh man, and he actually was a pretty good manager, huh?
Yeah, no, he was. He was 59-28. He won the league championship with the Georgia Peanuts. He actually won minor league manager of the year with the D-backs. And did you know that he was a D-back, the D-backs manager for like 4 days? Yeah. Was it 2 days?
Yeah.
It's insane because there were other things off the field that caused him to not keep that job.
Yeah. That is our list. That was a fun one.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
Next up, we've got some risky business. Fun time of year to build a parlay, and we're going to do that next here in The Fight. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you to get sidelined by bone or joint injuries. With the warm weather coming up, the orthopedic specialists at St. Luke's are dedicated to helping you return to a pain-free life. If it's time to replace those knees or hips or joints, St. Luke's offers advanced orthopedic treatment and surgical options, including robotic-assisted surgeries that can have you back in the game in about 8 weeks. St. Luke's advanced orthopedic care ensures you have access to in- and outpatient rehab and home and short-term rehabilitation services, depending on your needs and goals. St. Luke's orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Richard Rames, performed the first-ever Team miniature robot knee arthroplasty procedure in St. Louis. It's a state-of-the-art miniature handheld wireless robotic system that provides surgeons exceptional precision for implant placement. Its advanced CT-based 3D surgical planning and flexibility ensure outstanding outcomes for you, all while offering surgeons unmatched freedom and accuracy. It's a groundbreaking procedure and another example of St. Luke's commitment to bringing innovative, patient-focused technology to St. Louis. Live your best life. Call St. Luke's at 314-205-6060 today for world-class compassionate care and new knees and hips, or visit online at stlukes-stl.com. All right, time for some risky business. I have not been doing particularly well of late. Hopefully I will do better for you in this one. In the World Baseball Classic, the United States is playing Mexico, and Kyle Schwarber is already hot this year. He always hits a lot of home runs, but he seems to like international play, and he is plus 210 to hit a homer against Mexico. So I'm going to go with Schwarber to hit a Schwarbomb in the game against Mexico, and that is my bet. What do you got?
Did you hear about the Schwarbomb against the Brits?
Yeah.
That guy can really swing the bat.
He can hit it.
Holy cow. Okay, so I kind of teased this earlier, and I'm going to tail a play off of your play here.
Okay.
So Paul Skeens is pitching. I don't know if he's going to go 4 innings, but he's going to pitch at least 3 innings in this baseball game. If Kyle Schwarber's hitting a home run, Paul Skeens on the mound, I don't even know who Manny is.
Manny Barrera.
Give me the U.S. to cover this game at 3.5. I know Mexico's a better team than the U.S. has seen throughout this tournament, but I think the 3.5 is very manageable with Paul Skeens on the mound and the lineup in front of us.
All right, let's do it.
And here is our play. So, look at this. That's kind of cool.
Oh, yeah, first pitch coming up in 11 hours.
Nice little baseball field and all. Okay, here we go. $360, $100 on this play, Randy. That's a $360 payout, $460 total, because you get your 100 back.
I like this. We will tell you about it tomorrow here in The Fight, and hopefully we'll come away with a winner. That is our risky business, building a parlay here in The Fight. Coming up, take it or leave it, story time with Uncle Randy, and this date, a sad date in sports history here in The Fight. All right, time for Take It or Leave It. And Andrew, as you know, the World Baseball Classic is going on right now. I was watching Panama and Puerto Rico the other night. Great comeback for Yadier Molina's Puerto Rico team. They won on a walk-off homer. And there's all kinds of great baseball going on. It's great to see Harrison Bader playing for Israel. Well, this has really become the spectacle, and players are loving playing for country. So, take it or leave it, baseball will be the highlight of the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
This one's hard. There's so many good Summer Olympic sports. And you know I'm a swimming guy.
Yeah, but name a swimmer that's going to swim in 2028.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that.
Bryce Harper's going to be playing. Aaron Judge is going to be playing.
Maybe Aaron Judge will also be swimming.
Oh, that could be.
I'll take it just because I might be in the moment here, but I think that it will stay a highlight.
I think this is going to be a big thing in the CBA. I think the players are going to push to play in the Olympics.
That'd be awesome.
So, yeah, I think they need to.
Well, and it was great for hockey to have the NHLers back.
Absolutely.
It would only be great for baseball.
And who cares if they shut down baseball for 2 weeks to have the major leaguers
Not
play
me.
in the Olympics? It doesn't make any difference.
We already
Come on.
shut it down for a week to play in the All-Star festivities.
Exactly, right. So make it
what's
2
another
weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, mine, Randy, for you is this. So, yesterday afternoon, the Sabres and Lightning scored 15 goals and combined for 102 penalty minutes, a game ESPN called one of the most entertaining games you will ever see. Okay, let's say you didn't see this game and you were just teaching a hockey fan. Take it or leave it. If you wanted them to be entertained, you would show them this game because this is the most entertaining game you'll ever see.
Yeah, in 2026, I will take it. Now, you go back to some of the old Blues Blackhawks games, you go back to the St. Patrick's Day Massacre, you go back to some of the old Blues Red Wings playoff games. It doesn't match up to those, but for where we are right now in hockey, yeah, this is about as entertaining as you'll get because the penalties, fighting, scoring, that's what we all want to see, right?
Right, yeah, especially the group fighting. You don't get that more than maybe one time ever. And I believe this was the first game ever to have 15 goals and 100 penalty minutes.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I think it was the first game ever in history.
So if you go back to some of those Colorado-Detroit playoff games back in the day, whew, those were unbelievable. Man, there's
lot of good hockey out
there's
there.
a documentary about that rivalry.
There's a lot of good hockey out there.
Time now for story time with Uncle Randy. And we're going to spin the wheel for a decade from history. There's a lot of decades in history. And we're going to get a sport for you, too. And we're going to start with the 1990s. So we're going to go 1990 to 1999. And the sport that we're going to talk about, that Randy is going to talk about,
baseball.
is 1990s baseball. Well,
I'm
this
sure
ought to
you
be
have a story or
pretty
two.
easy. Yeah, I'll come up with a story for you. There you go. Let's see, 1990s baseball. We don't need to do the Cardinals here.
Yeah, why not? Why not change it up?
We'll do the Cardinals. 1992.
All right.
Down the stretch, Cardinals and Pirates playing. Lee Smith is the Cardinal closer. And Joe Torre did a fantastic job. I know people say, oh, Joe Torre did a bad job in St. Louis. No, he didn't. He was just given a lesser team. But the Cardinals were in the hunt down the stretch in 1992, September. They go to Pittsburgh. The Cardinals closer is Lee Smith. Hall of Famer, right? Hall of Fame closer. Bottom of the ninth at Pittsburgh, Barry Bonds hits a home run and does a pirouette. Actually spins as he leaves.
No way.
Yeah, as he leaves the batter's box after he hit the game-winning home run off of Lee Smith. He was awesome, but he also had a flair for the dramatic. Barry Bonds, he wasn't much in the postseason, only had that one great postseason in 2002. But man, let's see if we can see this. Let's see if we can see the pirouette as he. Great job by Tyler, our director here. Okay, there's Big Lee walking off. Now watch him spin. Oh, puts his arms up.
Okay,
You missed it.
okay.
So it was great. So
you get the back end of it there.
Yeah. So he was unbelievable, and that was not a great night for Lee Smith and the Cardinals.
He was also pretty skinny in that video.
He was, yeah, a little bit different looking than he wound up looking when he hit home runs numbers 715 and 757.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he got a little stronger, right?
Yeah, well,
some
they
things got a little
literally
smaller.
so that they literally had to get bigger hats for him. So
He has a big head.
His head grew. Pretty amazing.
He was a scary bat,
Yeah.
though. Holy cow.
That was fun. Well, it wasn't fun the night it happened, but looking back.
And it was not fun facing him at all when he
Yeah.
was a Giant.
And what a shame that team didn't win. That was a good Pirates team with Andy Van Slyke was there. Obviously, Bobby Bonilla was there. You had Bonds. You had Mike LaValliere was their catcher. You had some really good, and Doug Drabek on there in their rotation. Hall of Fame manager in Jim Leland. That was a good Pirates team, but they just ran into a buzzsaw every year that was the Atlanta Braves.
Yeah, oh man, that was just good Braves baseball at the time.
Yeah.
Really good Braves baseball. I don't want to see the Braves ever in the 90s.
All right, time for this date in sports history. And one of my most proud things in being able to do this job is getting to meet and know Cool Papa Bell in the 80s. And he passed away on this date in 1991 at the age of 87. An outfielder with blazing speed, Bell played in the Negro Leagues from 1922 to 1946, entered the Hall of Fame in 1974. How fast was he? In this long ago interview with Bob Costas, Cool Papa explained.
Remember that story they used to tell about you, that you flipped off a light and you got in bed before the room got dark?
Yes, I remember.
How'd that come about?
that Sergeant Page and I was room buddies. And I went to bed before he come in the hotel. And then on that switch is a 3-second shortage in it. And I turned it off, the lights didn't go out for about 3 seconds. It went out, then I tried it again, and it did the same thing. So I just tried it and went on and got in the bed, and then the lights went out. So when Sergeant Page came, I told him about it. He said, oh, you can't do nothing like that. So I said, well, go get in the bed. He got in the bed, and I just touched the switch and got in the bed. Then the lights went out. And I didn't tell him about the 3-second shortage in there until just about a little before he passed.
So Satchel Paige would tell the story. Cool Papa Bell is so fast that he can flip off the light switch and be in bed before the lights go out.
That is amazing. That is a great story. No, not many people can say they can do that too.
No.
And the other cool thing about Cool Papa Bell, for me, somebody that didn't get to know him, I got to play in the ballpark.
Oh, yeah.
Cool Papa Bell ballpark.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had no idea who that guy was, even when I was playing high school baseball there, until you do a little bit more research on where you're at, and you're like, wow, that person was in our community. That's
legendary,
incredible.
Legendary. And the Cardinals were kind enough under Whitey Herzog to let him come down to the ballpark. And because of his blazing speed, you know, people like Vince Coleman, people like Ozzie Smith, they, especially African-American players, they would glom onto him and talk ball with a guy like that.
I'm sure you would, right?
Yeah.
I mean, again, I say it a lot, but you gravitate toward greatness.
Mm-hmm.
And he was great at running the bases. So if you want to be good at that too, yeah, I'll be a sponge, right?
Yeah.
I'll hook myself up to your hip. Let's chat.
Yeah, so it's great that we can learn about a guy like Cool Papa Bell. He was one of the all-time greats, all-time great player, but an all-time great St. Louis and human being too. And obviously, that's one of the great funny stories of all time. We have Cardinal Spring Training Baseball at noon. They take on the Orioles here on Matrix Midwest. And this has been a pretty fun spring so far. This is what we're going to see, I think, all season long. My guess is that not everything is going to be great, but you can see the talent now. Don't believe everything you see in March, but there are good things that are happening with this team. Seeing a guy like Joshua Baez grow up. Hopefully Herrera does get the opportunity to turn into a good catcher. And then all the starting pitching too.
Yeah, you know, I think this is just a great opportunity for Cardinal fans to find their next favorite player.
Yeah.
Like there aren't a lot of guys on this team other than maybe a Mason Wynn where you could say like, I'd buy his jersey today. Kind of figure out who you like, who you gravitate to, and say, yeah, these are the guys that I'm really excited about seeing because they're showing me that right now.
And you know what might happen? And this happens all the time in baseball. The guys who they expected to be the best players, Walker and Gorman, might not. But the guys that we really didn't think, like Joshua Baez and Herrera, they might wind up being the best guys.
Right, and currently, I think most people would say I want J.J. Weatherholt to be that guy, and he's showing me right now that he can be that guy.
He's going to be good. He gets on base. He's the quintessential 2026 leadoff hitter, and he'll be fine. He's going to be a good player, and his defense is going to be
I just drafted him in fantasy baseball this weekend.
Oh, good play, good play. Hey, we are back at 5 p.m. and 10 p.m., and then again at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And if you want to participate in the fight, log on to matrixmidwest.com, use the Character and Company drop-down and fill out the form. Also, you can just email us at thefight@matrixmidwest.com. For Andrew and our director, Tyler, I'm Randy. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time here in The Fight.